everybody, it's Kristen. How are you doing? I hope you're having a great day today. Happy Tuesday. Not sure where you're at, if it's picking up kids, doing stuff, probably a busy day at work. So if you're here, thanks for taking a couple minutes out of your day to hang out with me. So I'm going to just cover a few things that I thought would be helpful related to cravings and overeating and binging, and when you're kind of in that cycle. I don't know if you've ever felt like you are just stuck, like you're having a craving, you're overeating, you're binging, and you are just feeling like you're powerless to break through that and break that pattern. You are not alone in that. I have struggled with that for a lot of years, off and on. The reality of 2 years, for me, over 2 years of weight loss and maintenance, is that the reality of that is that I've just learned that we're going to make mistakes. I wish that I could tell you that cravings would just disappear from your life, and if you just start watching what you eat and all of that, that they would just go away. But the reality is that we are going to struggle with cravings, and the thing about that though is that as we get further and further onto our weight loss journey, and we work through our mindset around food and we heal our relationship with food, those cravings become minor. They also don't last as long. Our time struggling in that pattern decreases greatly, and I'm a testimony to that because I just never thought I'd be where I am today with what I struggled with for 25 years of just overeating, deprivation cycles. So I did share yesterday in the group about a struggle I was having last weekend with cookies, and I wanted to just kind of come in today and also just expand on that a little bit, and also let you know that it's okay. I give you permission not to be perfect. It's kind of like when you're in a craving cycle and you're struggling, it's like if someone were to tell you, don't worry, and say you're really worried about something, would you just stop worrying? I mean, it doesn't work for somebody to say, just stop thinking about food. So when you're in that, it is extremely difficult, I know. And so, I'm a health coach, and I struggle too still, and I still have to use the tools that I've developed, that I use with my clients, and I still use them for myself, and I have to pull those out, and I have to use those in my own life as well, like I did last weekend with the cookies. Now, I'm not a bad person for struggling like I did last weekend. Like I said, here I am, a health coach, and I'm telling you guys, like, I had a difficult weekend with sugar cravings, and I ate 3 cookies one night. Now, when I shared that, I also want to share with you now that I had actually been eating cookies probably about 4 nights in a row. And so by the time I got to Sunday night, and I shared with you guys yesterday, that was something that I was looking at and why I was telling you yesterday, gosh, this is a little embarrassing. So I hope that, you kind of see, like, I'm being vulnerable with you. I'm not perfect. And I think a lot of fitness pros and health coaches out there are kind of trying to almost make it look like it, you have to eat this certain way, and, it's going to solve your problems. And I am just, to be honest with you, like, I just believe that there's imperfect progress. Like, part of making mistakes is how we learn and grow. And so I want to offer you a little bit of hope today. Like, I'm not a bad person for struggling, neither are you. And once we kind of realize that, there's nothing wrong with us. It's not that we don't have willpower or anything like that. I just knew that for me, I don't want food to control me again, which is why I shared what I did in the group yesterday. It may be that, cookies are not in and of themselves bad, and they are not bad. But if they're causing, for me to not be the person I want to be and have food control me again, that's not what I want. And that's what I was speaking out a little bit more about yesterday, is like, gosh, this is kind of something that I'm noticing. And so one of the things that I wanted to share with you, it's something that I shared actually with the women that I coached today. We were in a group call, And I was sharing a little bit about strategies to help with those times when you're just in the middle of cravings. And the best strategy that I can actually give you is to process your craving or your overeating or your binging after it happens. And what's interesting is most people want to know, what do I do when I'm in the middle of it? And yes, there are some things that you can do in the middle of it. What I'm going to focus more on today is what you can do afterwards so that you can prevent it from happening in the future. So the more that you learn from your situation, the more that your mindset will shift, and then the next time you're in that situation, things will change. And so I'll just, talk a little bit about what I went through kind of with my cookie trigger over the weekend. One of the first thing that you can do is identify why. Why is it you're eating? And for a lot of us, like I just shared a snapshot of Sunday night, I wanted to eat 3 cookies and I did. There was more to my story last week. I had a full week of some things going on. One of them was a medical test. From three years ago, I actually had a diagnosis, and I was getting ready to do the same test again last week, which really impacted me. And the test came out good. It was good news, but I know that like the emotional toll that took was something affecting me last week. Saturday night, I had gone to a play with some friends, and we didn't eat till like 8 o'clock at night, and my hunger patterns were all out of whack. I overate at dinner on Saturday night and had dessert that night too. So by the time Sunday came, my blood sugar was a little out of whack, which I think is part of why I had such a major craving Sunday night. So just so that you know, there's like things that go on in our story that all kind of come together. And sometimes it's not just one event, and you have to give yourself that grace of like, what is going on in the bigger picture here? Why am I struggling? And so if you can kind of identify the trigger, and like I mentioned, for me, it was several reasons. And then if you can understand why, it's good for us to understand why. But the other thing I want to just mention is like, we don't want that to become an excuse, right? Because that's the road that we can kind of go on, is like, well, I ate because I was sad. I ate because I had a difficult week at work. And that is very valid. And I want you to acknowledge that, and you need the context of that, right? Like just like I needed to know my story last week and really process that. At the same time, now what? Now what do we do with, once we know why we're overeating, now what? Because I don't want to just say, I'm overeating because of this, because then that could be something every day, right? My kids, we had a tough day, or they were grumpy, and I decided to eat. I was stressed out. So once we know our why, number 2 is that we can figure out what. There's 2 whats. What were my feelings is the biggest thing. You may say, just from my example, like I didn't have a lot of feelings that were causing me to eat cookies on Sunday night, right? I wasn't like sad that day or anything like that, but if I dig deeper, there were some feelings. There was some anxiety from my testing during the week. There was some guilt kind of going on about how I had been eating over the weekend, and some shame kind of coming in, like, gosh, I'm a health coach and I'm struggling with cookies on Sunday night. There was a little bit of that. That's a feeling, right? That's something that I was struggling with. And then there was the self-talk. What was my self-talk? So I want you to ask yourself that question too. My self-talk on Sunday night was like, I'll just start again tomorrow. And what's funny about that is like people who've listened to me for a while, or women in my program, will hear me say that a lot. Like we talk about this whole starting tomorrow thing, and we don't want to do that. And it's really something from our dieting mentality, where like we compartmentalize our eating, like I'm great during the week, or I'm not eating good on the weekend, because I'll just start over on Monday. And so what's funny is here I am saying that to myself on Sunday night, and I know that's not the answer, but I had to kind of process that yesterday on Monday and kind of say, gosh, I was telling myself that, and it was giving me an excuse to just eat on Sunday night, eat those cookies. So, kind of acknowledging those feelings, and then just like that fear of like, what are people going to think if I'm a health coach and here I'm struggling, and I wouldn't have even had to tell you that, right? Like I already had the feelings going on inside before I even shared that yesterday, that I had struggled. Number 3 is, what do you need? And this is the hardest part, because most of us don't even go to this point. We go to number 1 and 2. Why did I eat? what was I feeling, what was my self-talk. But when it comes to what we need, that's super easy to stop there, because we don't really have sometimes even the tools to know how to do that, especially when we're coming off of like a really bad binge or eating episode or emotional eating, where we feel so shameful and we're so tired of doing this over and over, that the last thing we want to do is go, well, what did I need last night? Well, I felt like I needed food. But really, food is just meeting a need. We always have a deeper need for why we're eating. And, what kind of helped me was sort of say, what did I need on Sunday night? And I did all of this work yesterday. So this is what I'm talking about as far as processing afterward. Yesterday I said, what was it that I needed? Well, I needed to give myself some grace. And I needed to tell myself, Kristen, you're not going to go on a diet Monday. You're not going to be punished and starve yourself and deprive yourself for Sunday night. You're not going to do that. And I needed to tell myself that and give myself that permission. I needed to offer myself kindness and grace. I needed to sit and kind of reflect on the week and the emotional toll of the medical testing and things that I had gone through. I needed to figure out what it was that was really going on and what I truly needed that night. And now what I can do is say, okay, next time that happens, maybe I can start thinking ahead of time, while the cravings are coming and I'm tempted to binge, like, what is it that's going on? What's the trigger right now? What am I feeling? And then what is it that I really need right now? And if you can just take some time to process that, then your mindset will start to shift the next time that you struggle, and it'll just start to be a different outcome. I know that I have come so far in 2.5 years, and I'm so grateful for these tools. So I just thought I would share that with you. I do have a worksheet that can help with these 3 questions I just mentioned. To process an emotional eating type of situation, and I'd be glad to send you that worksheet so that you can kind of have a paper. It's something I use with my clients inside my program, but I'd be glad to send you guys that today. If you'll just put a comment in that you would like the worksheet, then I'll send it over to you through a message. So I'll just give you some time to process in a framework to kind of answer these questions and start reflecting on maybe the last time you overate, and you can just do that and just think about your last situation. So I'm rooting for you guys. Thanks for listening, and I just wish you all the best.